Hey guys, how you doing? I got another World War III update here. I had a person comment earlier talking about a chlorine gas attack, which I was not aware of until I looked into it. And apparently, rebel fighters said that the Syrian army used a chlorine gas attack east of Damascus in the Ghouta region that they've been fighting over. The Syrian regime came out and stated that they had nothing to do with the attack. They denied the accusations. But, this is a scary situation because of this, how the U.S. has been approaching Syria when it comes to different chemical attacks, different attacks on their U.S.-backed coalitions. And we saw that press conference by Sean Spicer where he stated that if any chemical attack was going to happen, that Assad's forces, Assad's military, and Assad himself would pay a heavy price. There would be heavy, extreme consequences. So we have to, that opened the door for false flags to happen. For anyone who wants to hurt Assad or Assad's military, all they had to do was, stage a chemical attack. Say, hey, we're pointing towards Syria. Syria and Syrian military, they're the ones who conducted this attack. 30 people died. They suffocated in this chlorine gas attack. America, do something. And that's what we're waiting on. We're waiting on whether or not we see the U.S. respond, if they respond at all. The situation in Syria is really tense just because after the U.S. came out and stated, hey, something happens chemical attack-wise against innocent people, children in Syria, there's going to be heavy consequences. Russia came out and stated, hey, we're going to respond to any U.S. attack on Syria or Syrian forces. Iran came out and stated that the U.S. is playing with fire in Syria. And since then, we really haven't seen much in the way of U.S. action in Syria. We've seen them shoot down a few Iranian drones, but that's why that was happening when the war of words was going on between Iran and Russia, between U.S., Russia, and Iran. We did see Israel for like 5 straight days hit Syrian positions, and they said it was because of mortar fire. But it seemed like Israel was getting drawn closer and closer into conflict. We're also seeing a military buildup, north of Syria on the Turkish-Syrian border. So there's a lot of things at play here with Syria, with what's going on here. And this chemical attack, if it did happen, if the U.S. responds, things can get nasty very quickly over there. And there's a lot going on in the Middle East, guys. We talked about Qatar earlier. All this is just ramping up for something big. There's a lot of geopolitical situations in that area. The U.S. versus Russia, proxy war that's going on in Syria, U.S. versus Iran, Saudi Arabia versus Iran, Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states cutting ties with Qatar, pushing them closer to Iran. Like we talked earlier, guys, the lines are being drawn, right? And so at this point, we're going to have to see, what happens with this chemical attack, which, part of me thinks nothing's going to happen with this chemical attack. And the only reason I'm saying that is because as of right now, and this may change, but as of right now, the mainstream media hasn't, grabbed onto this at all. So we're going to have to see if the mainstream media starts grabbing onto it, because if they start grabbing onto it, the mainstream media is big foreshadowing of future attacks and future actions by the U.S. government, and we're going to have to see how that plays out. But guys, the fact is we're seeing a lot of military buildup around Syria, in Syria, by the U.S., Israel, Turkey, Russia, Iran, Syria itself. And there's just a lot going on in that region. So we're going to have to wait to see how the U.S. responds to this supposed chemical attack, and if they respond at all. But until we have more information, we're kind of left wondering, what's next with this. Is this claim that a chemical attack was, perpetrated? What is this real? Is this a real claim? It makes me believe that it's a real claim because the Syrian government came out and said, hey, it wasn't us. But until we have more information, we're left wondering, guys. And as information comes out, make sure to check back, guys. We'll cover it. These are things you guys and your family and your friends need to know.